What is up, everyone? Train Freak here, and today we got a layout update. I know I did not do one last week, and that's because we ran into an unexpected problem. We have been having issues with our water company. They somehow changed the electrolysis, and it's causing people's houses, especially like mine that was built in the 80s, the pipes in the slab are having pinhole leaks, and even some pipes outside of the slabs having pinhole leaks. And we finally ran into this for the third and hoping at the final time. So I was busy with Uncle Joe, the same guy who helped me turn this into the train room. He was helping me replace piping in the house. So as you're seeing this train go by, or it's probably already went by now, that is my answer to Joe Rader's tank and covered hopper train challenge. Joe, I only had 3 covered hoppers for 1960, so I just threw them on the back end of the tank train. And that's all my tank cars except for one, and that's because it's still a kit and I haven't built it yet. So, and I might do that later, who knows when. So, I do have some very important announcements. Tonight we have Sidetrack Sunday. It's going to be on my channel. And because we have held 800 subscribers for over a week now, and now that the contest is closed, tonight on Sidetrack Sunday we're going to do Blackout Bingo, and we're going to award 2 winners. Okay? And of course, y'all know what the prizes are, because if you registered like you were supposed to, if you wanted some free stuff, then you would have saw what those prizes were. So yeah, tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, Sidetrack Sunday on my channel, and we'll see who's our 2 big winners. All right. So layout update. Not a whole lot has happened, but basically I started some scenery. You saw that I got my mail call in. I got the woodland scenic floodlights for Riceland back here. But I also got some super trees in from Scenic Express. And I also got a building kit in, and I think I might let my buddy John, he asked me, he said, "Hey, can I build the building kit for you?" And I was like, so I might let him do it. I don't know. He enjoys that stuff. He doesn't really enjoy the trains, but he likes the building kits, doing interior details. He's actually working on one for me right now. So let me show you the beginning stages of scenery. Yes, scenery, because I gotta have a place for those super trees to go. You know, the ones that I just got in. So let me show you what I've done and how I have done it, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned. Alright, so like I said, this is not going to be much of an update, but as you can see, we're starting to put in some elevation, and I got a little bit of trash there, so that needs to come down. So let me show you how we went from flat to this, to that back there, and then what the purpose is for. So basically, this hole here, this big hole, is basically a track that comes out right here. So this is my balloon loop. But I wanted to give it the impression that it is kind of coming off the layout and another train's coming on in its place. And this hole back here actually goes into staging. So let's see, there's staging back there. Alright? So we don't want to see trains going in and out of a backdrop. So basically what I'm doing is building up a little bit of landscape, and it's enough so that way we can hide the trains. Now, what I've done is I took this 86-foot boxcar, and I know this is not my era, but I mean, that's one of the longest pieces of rolling stock that I've got. It's actually longer than some of my passenger cars. And so this is what I used when putting in the backdrop, and I did use a NMRA gauge to get the height, you know, up on the rails. But the NMRA gauge does not necessarily give you the width when you're in a curve. And of course, the tighter the curve, the wider the hole's going to be. So this car here has a lot of overhang, but you can see that it is completely fine, missing it there. And then of course, it misses it there as well. And so coming back in on the other end, misses there as well. So, and the little clicking you're hearing is because it's hitting the track joint right there. And of course it looks like there's a small kink that I might have to work out, which I can easily do because this backdrop here is removable. It's kind of in there a little snug right now, but it is removable. So, and that's the main part. But, I had to also make sure that my boxcar wasn't going to clip this hillside. So that's going to kind of act like a cut, but this one is not as high as the one up in front of it because the one in the front is what's hiding everything. This is just high enough so that way we can put trees on it and it's going to look good. Now, if you're wondering how high up is it, let me roll the boxcar here and I'm going to get you, look at there, as flat as I can. You can barely see part of that boxcar there. Now, once I get the plaster on this, so let me explain how I did all of this. First, I start off with scrap pieces of wood, right? And I kind of glued them in place, with a little bit of wood glue. So this is all glued in. Now these are screwed in because these are actually holding the backdrop in place. But all of this here is actually glued in. And I'm going to see if I can turn around and you might be able to see more, maybe, maybe not. Okay. Well, it was worth a try. But you can barely see a piece down in here. And like I said, it's all stacked. You can see that piece there. And then what I do is I take aluminum screen, or window screen, it's aluminum. And I'll cut sections out. And then what I do is I fold in the edges like this. So that way all of the pricklies are on the inside. And when you get plaster on it, you don't have to worry about pricklies or as many pricklies sticking out. But I'll take it and then I'll staple it. You can kind of see the staple here, staple there. And then I'll take some newspaper and kind of shove up in there to kind of help give it a little contour. And that way, as I put the plaster on it, it helps. Even in the sections where the screen overlaps each other like that. And so then you're left up with something that looks like this or like that over there. And so the plaster is what gives it a real good contour. And I know like right here, and this has got a little bit of a really wet pour to it. And I'm going to have to come back and add some more in this section here anyways. But I didn't get a chance to smooth it out because I got called away as it was drying. But, aluminum screen, staple it in, get your newspaper in there. And then this is just nothing but plaster of Paris with water mixture. And I'll pour it in semi-smooth. And then I take my fingers and I just kind of rub it to give it a little bit of a texture. A little bit of that rock texture. And so I could pour more back here, but I don't think it's going to be necessary. I think by the time I get the trees and stuff up in front of it, it's going to hide all that. So, because you got to keep in mind, nobody's going to be looking over like this because everybody's going to be so far back from this corner section. But I've got to get this corner section done so that way I can start building where I'm actually standing at, which is in the middle of this grid. So work our way from the back to the front. And my goal is, as far as working right to left, is going all the way over to where the barn is. I might go a little past it, but I think if I at least get to the barn, I'll be fine. But I'm not going to have to worry about over here about using, plaster of Paris. except for around the barn. I'll take some aluminum screen, no newspaper, and I'll just kind of fold it up, maybe a couple of folds to get the height right at the same height as the masonite that's under the barn, and the same with Gamer and Thrones here too. So that way it's kind of like a smooth transition up. No need to do that on the cork road bed. It should be fine. But as far as this way, we'll continue this way, and then I'll build and put some hills in over on this side too, so that way we can kind of help hide trains going in and out of this hole. So next steps, as I get more plaster on there, we'll come back. I'll put magazine back down in there. And if you're curious to see me actually do this in action, I actually did this on Modeling Monday with Humanity Junction, and I'll put a link to that live stream up in the corner. But I had, like newspaper ads down in there because I wanted to make sure that I did not get any plaster on the backdrop. And when I get ready to paint with my base coat, I'm going to end up doing the same thing. Now over here, I kind of left a gap, which is okay. And like I said, you're probably not really going to be able to notice it except for here. But if we put enough foliage, like shrubs and undergrowth and stuff, it probably ain't even going to be noticeable. So that way, I really do not want to damage this backdrop, if you catch my drift. So, but yeah. So next step, once we get more of this done, we will paint every bit of this. Now, I worked on this a little bit today. You can tell that this really, really white has cured. This is still kind of a fresh pour, so it's going to have to take a day or two for it to fully cure. But we'll come back, we'll paint on it with one coat of the ground cover. And then when we put our second coat on there, we'll flock it. And with kind of with some undergrowth, some shrubbery, and then after I make the trees, we'll drill small little holes to put our trees in. And I think this is really going to turn out like a really good scene. Basically, it's just to give the imitation that we've got a hill with the trains kind of going through the hill. Because, I mean, a lot of times they didn't have the capabilities of routing the trains around hills. Sometimes they had to kind of cut through it. So, and that's what this is going to be, is just like a small slight cut. I mean, the earth is not flat for the most part, especially in the woodland areas. And that's why you see trees at all different types of heights. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at. So, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found it educational. This is kind of an old school method of doing elevations and stuff on your layout. And you can actually work up and you can work down. So, if we wanted to put in a pond, we could always cut a hole and, put like a couple of sheet of plywood under it, or, just something to hold the plaster in place when you pour it on the aluminum screen. The aluminum screen basically acts as rebar, but, just something just temporarily, and then you could take that out from under it, and bam, you got a big hole for a pond. So, and I actually did that on the previous layout, how I did that. So it was a very small pond, but it's something that can easily be done. And I mean, you can kind of see this little divot right here. And like so, rainfall would actually flow and go back that way towards the backdrop. So, all right, y'all. Well, that's really all I've got as far as this layout update. I apologize that I wasn't able to get more content for you this go round. I'm hoping next weekend I can have a little bit more done, maybe some color to it, or hopefully maybe get those floodlights for Riceland installed. I think that would be pretty cool to see a night shot of that. So that's a few of my to-do list. Not really doing many modifications as far as like the locomotives and rolling stock goes right now. I'm more focused on getting some more scenery done, so that way I can add on to the layout. So that way, once I get the upper section comfortable as far as, all the electronics, the lighting, the track and stuff like that, then I can start building below and go ahead and start getting like a roundhouse and a turntable in, and start working towards the yard and just kind of work one side of the room at a time and just keep working our way around. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at. So, other than that, y'all have a great week, and be safe out there with the way the times are these days, and happy railroading.